You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today a conversation with Adem Carroll about Bangladesh closing down schools and shops in the Rohingya camps. But first, some news headlines. Quebec's public health director resigns after 12 years. Edmonton Jewish community donates necessities to the Al-Rashid shelter. Seoul Medical Clinic for refugees in Nova Scotia to restart admissions. And 1,000 Rohingya tents in Bangladesh go up in flames. And now the details. Horatio Arruda, Quebec's public health director, resigned yesterday after 12 years of service. His resignation comes amidst rising Omicron cases across the province. Arruda's team faced criticism for operating on intuition and not science while designing public health policy. In his resignation letter, Arruda says that these criticisms have eroded the public's trust in him and his team, and he thought it best if he were replaced. During the pandemic, Quebec has had the highest death toll and stricter public health guidelines than other provinces to control the virus. The Jewish Federation of Edmonton has donated essential supplies to Al-Rashid Mosque's shelter for the homeless in a commendable interfaith effort. The Federation also asked its followers on social media to donate to the cause, some of whom called it a heartwarming act. Al-Rashid leaders thanked the Jewish Federation's contributions. New Democratic Party leader Rachel Notley also applauded the mosque for its selfless service. Al-Rashid, the first mosque in Canada, recently extended their shelter program due to the cold snap that blew over Calgary within the last month. The Newcomer Health Clinic in Halifax has reopened its admissions after approval from the provincial government for expansion. The clinic is set to operate with more physicians, a social worker, and space to the local clinic. The clinic is the only one of its kind in Nova Scotia that is focused on the medical needs of refugees, which, due to their displacement, are often complex after years of neglect. It closed last year after the staff was unable to service the patient roster, which is 3 times their capacity limit. A deadly fire ripped through a Rohingya refugee camp in southern Bangladesh Sunday, destroying hundreds of buildings. Official sources estimated nearly 1,000 structures had been burnt down, including makeshift tents, a food distribution center, mosques, and Islamic seminaries. Over 1 million Rohingya fled to neighboring Bangladesh after a brutal military crackdown in Myanmar's Rakhine state in August 2017. No deaths or injuries have been reported, according to Shihab Kaisa Khan, police commander at Camp 16 in the Cox's Bazar district. Khan told Anadolu Agency the cause of the fire is under investigation. And that's it for the news. We've just heard about the fire in the Bangladesh camps. We believe in amplifying local voices. We have with us a recording of a Rohingya refugee in one of these camps that you've just heard about, filmed with the Burma Task Force, which is an affiliate of our news show run by the Sound Vision Foundation. And he is going to give us a little appeal to the Bangladesh authorities to stop closing the school in the camps.
Hello, everyone. I am Abdullah, a Rohingya youth living in the camp. It's been almost 5 years we are here in the camp. And in these 5 years, we did not see a single progress on our children education, neither from NGOs nor host government. Only few advocacy NGOs like Burma Task Force has launched its campaign, Let Rohingya Learn, in summer 2021. And the NGO is increasingly concerned that authorities are creating policies that restrict education and harm Rohingya children. Advising US and international government, Burmese Task Force has organized several organizational letters with numerous leading signatures and important NGOs, important organizations that urgently ask Bangladesh to recognize the Rohingya right to education. While there was no one for our children, we have to stand for ourselves and started community-based learning schools to provide our children formal education. And we have seen many students could be able to complete their remaining classes in these LCLCs, but it is really heartbroken that to know that soon all those centers will be shut down, and the dark side of the education will be again about the Rohingya children as shared. So I'd like to say that if education is for all, then let us learn and don't snatch us from us what we have. Instead, try to improve it. Thank you.
Burma Task Force, which is part of Justice for All in the US, has been advocating on behalf of the Rohingya refugees for many years now. And we have with us Adem Carroll, Burma Task Force lead at Justice for All. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam, sister. Good to be on.
Bangladesh has been very generous in accepting over 1 million refugees since the crackdown on the Rohingya in Myanmar in 2017. But apparently the generosity seems to have limits, and now they've been closing down schools and shops in the camps. Can you please tell us, for those who aren't aware, what's going on?
Yes, it's an important issue. It's very disappointing that Bangladesh government treats the Rohingya in this way. It appears that with shutting down volunteer-run schools, and really those schools are necessary because there aren't enough schools being provided, the almost 600,000 children in the camps. So they're shutting down these schools, and just yesterday bulldozed yet another one. And then they're also shutting down Rohingya-run markets. The dignity of human beings is that they create jobs and they create businesses. And instead of allowing that, the Bangladesh government has been destroying well over 1,000 markets now, small markets, very small, that again are put together in the camps. And this seems to be part of a pressure tactic to force Rohingya to relocate from these admittedly crowded camps to go to Basan Char Island, which is an extremely isolated, low-lying island off the coast of Bangladesh. And a lot of Rohingya do not want to go, but feel they are being pressured out of the camps.
It seems strange to me. I mean, I'm not on the ground there, but you've got people hanging around with nothing to do. Isn't it a great idea to have the kids in school and learning? Do you have any idea, like, what the thought process, why they would be destroying schools? It just seems so counterproductive.
It's a mindset that may reflect an authoritarian point of view. A lot of the military is involved in administering the camps, and they may want total control. They see things in terms of security only. Of course, there are issues with trafficking, and there are issues with some violence in the camps. However, that said, this is not the way to address it. This is counterproductive. It forces people underground. It takes away the hope of education for their children. It forces people into unemployment, and then what do? They get into other trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember a phrase. Well, actually, I don't remember the phrase, but it's something like idle hands. Something about idle hands leading to evil or ill or something.
Yes, indeed. So it's a really misguided policy, and we call on the international donors to speak to the Bangladesh authorities and really stop this right now. We have reached out to the State Department, and at least the middle level officials are very sympathetic. We've reached out to some of the NGOs that work directly in the camps, and they agree with us. But somehow the message is not getting across, despite the $1.5 billion that the US government has given, and I believe almost $500 million from Canada. So we should be able to have some say in the matter about how policy is implemented.
Bangladesh is a Muslim majority country and Rohingya are a Muslim minority. Shouldn't there be sense of solidarity? How's the wider society in Bangladesh reacting if there's a big outcry against what their own government is doing?
Well, there have been some op-eds that raise these issues with empathy, and yet for a Muslim country to treat Muslim survivors of genocide in this way, it's really rather shocking. So we call on the Bangladesh people to let their government know that the religion and the lifestyle and all our traditions expect better.
I mean, that's true. Education is emphasized in the Quran for sure. I read that some of these schools were implementing a Myanmar curriculum. I was confused by that.
Well, that was an agreement among various parties, and including the UN refugee agencies. The Bangladesh government seems fearful that the Rohingya will stay. In fact, the Rohingya, when you talk to them, don't want to stay. There may have been some earlier on who had come, but the Bangladesh government has played this in a rather strange way. They don't call the Rohingya refugees and therefore feel they don't have to treat them as refugees with refugee rights. They call them forced migrants. They're playing word games and category games, and it's very unfortunate. At the same time, we've seen about 20,000 Rohingya sent to Basan Char, kind of out of sight, out of mind. And there have been 4 mysterious fires. Just in the last week, there was one in a isolation ward for COVID-19. And so we wonder who is setting these fires. Is this another pressure tactic? We can't prove that.
Basan Char is a city. What's Basan Char?
Basan Char is the name of an island. It's a floating island, and that's what the name means. But it was reinforced with concrete, but it's basically sitting on a sandbar. And the first big cyclone that comes along, it could all be wiped out. So a lot of the UN and NGO communities have opposed this, but they've kind of made their peace on the condition that Bangladesh guarantee that no one is being forced to go. However, the Rohingya tell us that people are being forced to go and not allowed to leave. It's a prison.
At the top of the show, we played a very short clip from someone called Abdullah who was making a plea for education. Do you know him?
Yes, Abdullah is working with us. He's our representative in the camps, and he occasionally will make a video. And he's right on the ground. He sees things as they are. And, we feel for him. He often sends us information just as it's happening. Now, if I could just jump a bit, because we have limited time, to, the upcoming anniversary of the military coup in Burma. This makes it very difficult to have any hope for repatriation in the foreseeable future. And it's very disappointing to see the Prime Minister of Cambodia visiting the generals of Burma today. They are there being treated with pomp and circumstance and meeting with the top generals. It's the first time that a head of state has gone to Burma since the coup. And this sends absolutely the wrong message. Now, this year, Cambodia is also the president or the main leader of ASEAN, all those ASEAN countries. And so, again, this seems to be leading to a certain kind of engagement, but we don't see any guarantee that the democratic forces of Burma, much less the Rohingya, will be included in this conversation. So
it is disappointing, especially if they're the head of ASEAN. I mean, I understood that the Cambodians were actually doing very well with the Cham Muslims and integrating and religious pluralism and tolerance. So you would have expected that they would take a different approach.
Well, at least some of the Muslim nations that are part of ASEAN are putting pressure. That would be Indonesia and Malaysia primarily, big countries with a big voice. So again, I think that it remains to be seen whether ASEAN will be an effective force for peace. So far, it's a very mixed outcome, and we hope they will do better.
And we hope so too. And we have to leave it there. But thank you for taking the time to come and enlighten us and on this show about this topic.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. If you like what we do, subscribe, share, and like. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and God bless.